Giants fans, what is going on? Welcome to another episode of the 2025 New York Giants Rush Draft Show. We got a special one here today, guys. We're going over running backs. I know it is not necessarily the top need of the Giants. We got a little bit of solid play out of Tyrone Tracy. Hopefully he's the future. Do we expect Saquon? No. But guess what? This is still one of the funnest groups to go over. And we have a very special guest today in Big Dash. And we can't wait to get started, break down the top guys, because even though we're not going to use the first pick on a running back, I would be very surprised if we did. We might get one to partner up with Tyrone Tracy in the mid rounds. So we'll see what happens. So we got a lot to talk about. And let me tell you, I'm doing this for 4 years now. This is the best running back class that we've been able to dissect. And there's a lot of different players, a lot of different skill sets that anybody could fall in love with. So if you're more of like a, if you like the Bradshaw types, we like the Brandon Jacobs types, they're in this class. So lots to talk about. But first, let's bring in the real expert. Truth, what's going on?
What's up, Spartan?
Oh, not much, man. Not much. We were joking backstage. There were so many running backs taken last year. We actually didn't even go over Tyrone Tracy because we didn't have enough time, right? So, we had a lot to say about him. I know you were high on him, but we weren't actually able to talk about him.
Yeah, it's going to be good. They got last year a total of 19 running backs were taken. Going to be interesting. A very deep class, and we still have a few guys. They got to the 24th to declare. We don't know. A few guys may still declare for the draft.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, right? We're still waiting for a few names to pop in and declare for the draft or decide whether or not they want to stay back. Yep. In that situation, we left Judkins off the list from Ohio State. The expectation at this point.
Lavon Morse is another one we might not talk about too. Another talented running back.
Yeah, it's a little challenging now. I mean, running backs are, unlike quarterbacks, are generally told to go to the draft if they had the opportunity to. But running backs is like, well, you only have such a good window. Like, only do it if you really think that you're going to be able to boost your value to the point where you're going to get drafted in the top rounds. So, but look, let's just go right into it with our special guest. We got Big Dash on tonight. Big Dash, what is going on, man?
What's going on, fellas? How you doing? Thanks for having
me.
Come
on here. Where is he?
Right there. The party.
There he is.
And Dash, I know you got a lot of notes there, man. I can't wait to dissect out, the running backs that you're high on. Let me ask you, who's your favorite running back in New York Giants history to start the show off?
Oh man, Rodney Hampton was my favorite. He's the reason why I actually was a running back when I did play. Rodney Hampton, number 27. Yeah. So before I was Big Dash, I was thinner, a little bit faster. So yeah, that's what I did. But Rodney Hampton was my favorite running back. Not saying he was the best, but he was my personal favorite running back for the New York Giants. Yep.
It speaks volume when you have a running back, and we'll go over a couple that do this as well in college tonight. When you have a running back that kind of is the offense, I mean, that's what Rodney Hampton was for a lot of his game,
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you figure when I was growing up, running back was that premier position. It kind of changed after that, but everybody wanted to be the running back. So, yeah, Rodney Hampton was big for me.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, again, if it was 1995, I mean, they would have re-signed Saquon, no question. But
absolutely,
given the times right now, it's like you move on. But I mean, I wish he didn't go to the Eagles, but we're not talking about that tonight.
Let's not talk about that, please.
Right, spilled milk.
Absolutely. Well, look. We're going to have some video clips of some of these players too, but we can start off with a couple of the guys that might go towards the end. And then once we get the video clip ability, we're going to get, we'll start from the top with the elite guys so everybody knows what we're talking about. But maybe we start with a guy, and I'm always intrigued by this, Dash, because when there's a couple schools or we're involving local guys in the conversation, when you get to the later rounds, these guys do pop up a little bit more in the front office. And the first and most premier guy on this list is Kyle Mongai from Rutgers. He's from just a little bit west of Montclair, New Jersey, so he's a North New Jersey guy to begin with. And I think it's worth talking about him. We were going through the list last year. By the time we got to the 15th guy, the talent definitely started to recede a little bit. This guy is still very talented, in my opinion. I like, in all fullness, how he finds holes. He stays on his feet. And there's something about his game. It's not because he went to the same school, but he really reminds me of Ray Rice. There's something about his game and the ability for him to bounce around that is just outstanding in the way that he does it. And it really gave me memories of Ray Rice. Like, that is the clearest cut comparison. 5'9", on the shorter side. People can go either way with that. As long as if you are on the shorter side, then what's the speed like? It's pretty good. 4.5. Obviously, we wish it was 4.4, but so be it. There is a difference between playing fast, which he does, and being fast in the 40-yard dash. If you eye level a lot of these guys, you'll be able to see that. Do you have any thoughts on Kyle?
Is that for me or Truth?
For you, my bad, Dash. We'll always go with you.
No. I like the Rutgers project. That's actually a good comp. I didn't think about Ray Rice at all. I could see both of those guys being around the same height. Ray Rice definitely had a bigger build than Kyle Mongai, not by much. But I like. I was actually surprised when I saw that his weight was only like 205, 209, something like that.
Yeah.
He seems like he's a little bit bigger than that. And he definitely runs harder than somebody that's 209 pounds. But we saw another, smaller back with the same build in Bradshaw that ran pretty hard for a guy that was his size too. So no, I like Monangai a lot. He's a guy I think that you can get possibly early day three. Yeah, he's definitely on my radar, and I can see pairing him up with Tyrone Tracy for sure. He's one of the guys on my short list that'll be available on day 3 that I would pair up with Tyrone Tracy for sure.
Truth, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, same thing. I think he'd be a really good compliment to Tracy, the way he runs. And like what Big Dash just said, that's another great comparison. Bradshaw, Nungai's a very tough runner. Initiates contact. He really doesn't try to avoid it. And he got great vision. And that's what I saw his tape. Great vision when he runs. Great balance. He gets a lot of yards after first contact. All the little intangibles you like to see in a running back.
Yeah, absolutely. Projection, by the way, for his round is closer to 5th round, which is where we got Tracy last year. But again, this is such a rich class that I actually think in a year like last year or 3 years ago, let's skip the Gibbs one, he would have probably gone higher than that, especially with how much running backs go off the board, because teams need depth at that position, but they also need special teamers and including returners and whatnot. So these guys will kind of go in bulk, and I expect him to be a pretty damn good player. That's the thing that's great. There's 15 guys on here. I think all of them are going to contribute one way or another to the team over the course of the next several years in a pretty effective manner. Let's go right to the next guy then. So, it's interesting. We talk about all these different guys that have attributes that, some of them are very particularly phenomenal. This guy just has a very effective run game about him, and he's very efficient, and he can do all those things pretty well. Not one particular thing excellent. If you watch his game tape, I thought Jamal Charles was actually the most similar running back I saw to this dude. And he did have a lot of good games and a lot of big breakaway plays and whatnot. Overall, the average yards per carry is 4.6. If we were talking quarterbacks, I don't die on the stat hill. There's a lot that goes into it. Running backs, I will a little bit. And this is one example where I do wish that was a little bit higher, and that probably would have helped him. But yeah, I think overall the speed and acceleration are very good. Some inconsistencies, but he does show signs of excellence. Dash, what are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, for Ollie Gordon coming into the season, he was ranked pretty high.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't end up having the strongest season to follow up last year. So his numbers from last year way better than this year's. But I think he's going to be a solid guy. But fortunately for a team like the Giants, he might be a guy that's available really late, depending on what's happening. 6'2", 220 pounds, 225 pounds, something around there. I like him His running style is similar to like the guy for the Commanders, Brian Robinson, played for Alabama.
Okay.
I like, taller guy, still in between the tackles, but gives you enough versatility. Like he's okay out of the backfield. He can catch a couple of balls too, so he has some versatility. He's not just one of these big thumping guys. He actually has some wiggle to him too. So I like Ollie Gordon, sure.
Yep. Yeah, I like him. He got good blend, size and some speed. Can do some damage when he gets to the second level. It gets past that front seven. And not a bad receiver, and like Baghdad just said, had a good year last year. So he could be a later pick, and he could be a good quality pick for any team that gets him, because his talent level is certainly better than a late day 3 pick.
Yeah. Again, most effective. He didn't have, in my view, like the flashiest plays compared to a lot of these guys where that kind of shock you. But again, overall, it's just like a very efficient. If you have I want to say a solid offensive line, but you watch a lot of teams that win the Super Bowl, even like the Patriots in the 2000s or 2010s when they were winning Super Bowls, they would still have an efficient run game, right? And he's the kind of running back that I think could at least do that. I don't know about breakaway plays, but again, he does have a lot of tape. And you're right, Dash. We're bringing up a couple guys that actually declined a little bit from their previous year. And that's worth talking about too, because you obviously don't want to see that. That hurts your stock. But, if we find out it's because of an injury that you can recover from pretty quickly, that would make it a little bit more ideal. I don't really know if that was the case here.
Oklahoma State just sucked pretty much.
Oklahoma State sucked.
The offense, when you're the key guy on offense, all teams are ready for you. They're prepared for you. There was really no other threats coming out of Oklahoma State for real on that offense. Not saying that he, performed, but it was a down year for sure. Now, I don't want to blame everything else. It was a down year for him, but Oklahoma State struggled all around, especially at offense.
Got it. And that's a program that usually has some pretty feisty teams, although punch above their weight class from time to time. But seeing that wasn't the case, I think what's interesting to note is a lot of these running backs, similar to that situation, were kind of were the offense for a lot of teams, and we'll get to that with all these other guys. But interesting with Ollie Gordon, I got to be honest with you, I wasn't paying attention to the record. The records of some of the schools like Oklahoma State this year. So I'll be completely honest, I actually had no idea that Oklahoma State had a bad year.
Yeah, no.
Only a couple years removed from them beating.
And they still have that same. They still have that same coach too. I forget the guy. I forget his name right now. But yeah, never mind. It's a guy that said,
"The guy with the big speech."
Yeah, I'm a man. I'm 40. That guy, he's still here.
Yeah. That was classic.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Here's a guy that I like a lot. So Jaquindon Jackson out of Arkansas. So this is what I really like about him. He, when it comes to the line of scrimmage, and we'll talk about this, his ability to penetrate, find quick open lanes, or at least bounce off some of the tackles, the guards, and have that vision for finding the area where to go is really good. What he didn't really quite have was the breakaway speed, so he would kind of get back to the linebacker level and then generally get tackled from behind. So that was the one aspect of the game that I didn't love. But again, I mean, we're talking about a guy that's still got 5.3 yards per carry, and his ability to push through the front seven was very good. I'd be willing to say that his median carry is probably the highest. I couldn't get that statistic, but that was the one thing that I saw over and over again, is how efficiently and how commonly this guy would get, say, 8 yards, 9 yards, 10, 11, 12, but he didn't really have all that many breakaway touchdowns. He's still a very effective runner. There's tons more to get through on the list that, probably had a little bit more, eye-opening performances and resumes, but I really like this guy. What were your thoughts on him, Dash?
Yeah, so to be honest with you, I barely watched Arkansas. So this is a guy that's not even on, my radar. So whatever you're telling me right now is the first thing I've heard of him. To be honest, what do you have him ranked as far as is he in your top 10, top 15?
I put him around close to the 15 mark. He's more around there,
Okay.
I'm trying to do this a little bit like in my head. I'm trying to do it almost like tier based. Like, hey, if we did use a third round pick on a running back, like who's of that category that I'd be like, good.
Yeah,
I'm cool with it.
And then you said his style was more like a what?
It's really hard to think of a comparison for a football player.
I would say he's between the tackles type of runner. That's what
Yeah,
I
he's
would
between the
classify him.
tackles. Yeah.
What's the size?
Bulldozer mentality.
Okay.
You know, he's
Is he
good
one of those
size,
bigger?
6'2", 230, 235.
Oh,
Yeah, he's a
I like
big
that.
size.
Yeah, I like that.
Runs far.
Big dude.
Yeah. So good compliment, I think, to Tracy, you know, a guy like this. So, like, and I didn't see a lot of tape on him. I saw just enough to get a good feel for him to see. And, you know, I kind of like it. I think it's a good compliment to what the Giants are looking for.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Now, let's move on to Raheem Sanders. It's interesting because this guy was actually at Arkansas the year before, and I forget if it was 2023, 2022, but he actually was one of the best running backs in the class that year before he transferred due to an injury. So that was the one thing that's a little bit of a sad story. I mean, you know, you realize, you know, how crucial injuries can be for, you know, obviously in the NFL, but I feel so bad for the ones that have that in college because that really does affect their ability to earn in the long run. And here's the situation, but he could still recover and be very good. He's a 4.4 40 kind of guy. When he was at Texas, I do implore or at Arkansas, I implore people to look at that highlight tape because it really is outstanding. You would have thought if he didn't get hurt, he'd be one of the top guys in his class because there's a little bit of stiffness, a little bit of residuality there. But otherwise, again, we're talking about a guy that's very stable and strong. And he has the ability, better than anybody else on this list, to also reverse the field, right? So if he is going left or he's going right and he doesn't like what he sees, he's able to turn and flip the entire field and find a lane that way. Like he's able to do that more effectively than all the other guys on here. You know, the other things, you know, running between tackles and whatnot. I mean, it's nothing crazy there. But, you know, if teams feel like he can return to his Arkansas level, I mean, they should definitely take him if they think they can rehab him. That's a huge value prop with this guy. What are your thoughts, Dash?
Yeah, I love Raheem Sanders. Now,
Okay.
even yeah, I do. So for me, when I first watched him play, it's funny because I looked at him and he's quick, like he's quick,
Yeah.
and it's actually like a sneaky quickness. And then when you look at his size, like he's almost 230 pounds, you're like he doesn't look 230 pounds, but he is very quick. He's agile. He does move pretty well. Even at South Carolina, you know, even after that, I still think he moves pretty well. You know, as far as you still see those flashes of that game, you know, that breakaway speed for a guy his size. He had it. He did have that breakaway speed.
Yeah.
And good size, good contact balance. A lot of guys on this list have good contact balance. And he's another guy that I think because of, you know, his history, he's going to fall. But outside of that, I like Raheem Sanders a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Truth. What about you, man?
Yeah. I think I caught up with you guys talking about. Yeah, he kind of reminds me of Jackson, the guy we just talked about at Arkansas. Very hard runner between the tackles. Yeah, I like him too. I think he's a good day three pick for the Giants. You know, I like the way he plays the game. You know, I like seeing running backs who give effort at the first contact and don't go down with an arm tackle. And a lot of these guys are like that. You can't arm tackle a lot of these guys. So, yeah I do like Sanders.
Yeah, for me, Raheem Sanders, when I think about where we could possibly get him, I think whenever that run, like we're going to get that first wave of running backs, but whenever we get that second run, it might be in the fifth round where you might see 5 running backs come off the board in like the fifth round, between the fourth and the fifth round. He might be one of those guys on the outside, you know, looking in. And you actually we don't have a 6th round pick. You know, we got 2 7s right now. If he falls to like the 7th round for whatever reason, I'm running to the podium. I think he would be a perfect person to add. Yep.
Yeah, if we get to day 3, what you're saying is you are hopping that first flight to Green Bay and you are marching up to the podium, right?
Yeah.
And don't overlook the fact that Shane could trade up. You know, he's got 2 7-round picks. He may trade up. If he sees guys still on the board and late in the 5th, early 6th, he could trade up.
Yeah, but he's one of my gems, Raheem Sanders. He's a gem.
Yep.
One of those hidden gems. Yep.
And look, we always say it. Sure, he was hurt, but Saquon was hurt here too. I've kind of thought that his career was a little bit cooked because of the injuries, right? Raheem Sanders didn't have an injury nearly as, you know, suffering as an ACL injury, right? So he can recover. So teams that get him, I'm with you. I mean, if he bounces back to that, they're in luck. They are in store for a very good running back, no doubt about it. So noted on that one, Dash, because when it comes to draft time, we get Raheem Sanders. You're the first guy I'm reaching out to.
He's a gem for sure. He's a gem.
How about this? We got another. This guy's a little bit slower. Taj Brooks, out of Texas Tech. He's got some things that he does, like cutbacks really well, and making people break ankles in those regards. The rest was pretty, I liked, I didn't love, I guess, is all I could say about Taj Brooks. I'm kind of curious to hear your guys' thoughts before we kind of get into about 5 guys here that I'm in love with. Go ahead.
Okay, so I absolutely love Taj Brooks. Man.
Love him. Okay.
I love Taj Brooks. I'll throw a name out there, and when I like to do some comparisons, I like to throw it like a ceiling. He reminds me of Le'Veon Bell, and I don't know how he does it. Like
go green, baby. Come on now.
The vision, the patience, and like how Le'Veon Bell used to just sit there and he looked like he would go to a full stop, find the hole, and then the burst is there. I get that same kind of feeling from Taj Brooks. He's still a bigger guy. Le'Veon Bell, I think, might have been 6'2". He's not 6'2". He's roughly about 5'10", 5'11", 220 pounds. But when you watch him run, and if people don't have the time to look at whole games, I'm pretty sure there's a ton of highlights out there for Taj Brooks. If you look at his poise, his patience, and his vision, and then once he sees that hole open up, he does have the burst to get there. I think he's a sneaky good pick for anybody that grabs him. He's another guy that you can possibly see in that 5th to 6th round range. And I'm glad that a lot of people don't know about him too much.
He's a 4th round projected pick. So
okay.
That's what we're looking at. Same as generally with the blockade here. Look, he had 15. He had some of the most yards of anybody on this list. 1,500. I mean, that's very good. What are your thoughts, Truth?
No, just echoing what you guys are saying. The kid can run the ball, runs with power, got good lower body strength, can catch the ball out of the backfield. This is a perfect draft class, I think, for the Giants, because a lot of these guys, like I've been saying, it fits what they're looking for to complement Tracy. Another guy who I think will be a great complement for Tracy. So, like a Big Dash says, if I see this guy's name being called in Giants, I'd be very happy.
Yeah. Now, like I said, for the people out there watching, like if you get a chance, type in Taj Brooks. After this show, don't do it now. After the show, type in Taj Brooks and let me know what you guys think. Send me a message on Twitter or something. But let me know what you guys think. I love him, man. The patience and then the burst, and not a lot of people have that.
No, 100%. Because you got to reset your vision. That's a tough thing to do.
Yeah, but he'll find the hole for sure.
Hey, before we keep going, I just have a quick question for Big Dash. I like to watch your videos, and you've had a few mock drafts. Have you put any running backs in your mock drafts yet?
I have. And that's only the mock. That's only the mock draft that I actually put out. Like I'm doing like 10 mock drafts a day, and I've taken. I don't know if he's on your list. I've taken Damian Martinez. It's all been day 3. I don't go.
Miami.
Anything earlier than the 5th round. I don't even look at running backs to like the 5th round. So a lot of those guys are not on the list. But Damian Martinez, Raheem Sanders is a guy that I come across a lot. Looking at my list right now, that I think he'll be gone. Well, Donovan Edwards is another guy that'll be out there late, most likely. Kyle Monunga is another guy that I've mocked a lot. But yeah, that's just me though, because some of these guys I would run to the podium for, but right now it's so early in the mock process that I'm keeping those running backs out. No scatables early, not yet.
Yeah. So we're getting into more, some of the names that might be familiar to people who don't watch as much college football as you, Dash, and I know you're doing a lot of scouting, but we're starting to get the names that people probably saw on Twitter a little bit more frequently. First and foremost is Kim Scatabo. I don't know if I'm saying his name correctly.
That's right.
I think you are.
Okay. All right. It is. When I watch this guy, and everyone's going to say it, I know it. He lays down the force, right? He's one of the bruising running backs. But his acceleration, even though I don't think it's terrific, he really does kill guys out there. And he's got that unique feature where not only can he kind of run you over, he can use his quick footwork It's weird. He almost has footwork like the nose tackle Warren Sapp. I know that's weird because he was a nose tackle and Scatabo is a running back. But look at the way that his feet move upon contact, and he's able to kind of redirect, not just plowing people over, but shifting and rolling out of these tackles, and staying on his feet and staying light on his feet. And that's something that's really unique about this guy, right? The other thing that I love just in general, and this, there's always a lot that goes into it. The amount of elevation that he brought Arizona State as a whole, as a program, is outstanding. They were a 3-9 program last year, and although they had the quarterback Sam Leavitt, who's also pretty good, like this dude added just a whole nother dimension and made it really challenging for teams and opponents to try to keep him down and keep him back. But he had really good games. He played good against meaningful opponents when he played Texas in the college football playoffs. It was very good football. He can also be a threat, not only catching the ball, he can also pass the ball. I don't know if anybody saw that play, but somehow he picked up that skill along the way. 60-yard touchdowns, look, don't expect too many. And then this is just one thing that he's got to keep in mind. Fumbles, they're there too. He's got to keep his head up because he will get some nasty concussions if he doesn't learn to keep the crown of his head up. But that's really it. Again, you watch the tape here and you see a lot of good play out of the dude. Dash, what are your thoughts on him, man?
Yeah, he's the type of running back that I grew up watching. That's what I'll say. He's a classic throwback type of running back. You can see the clips here. Point of contact, and to your point, Truth, the legs keep on moving. That's one thing the coaches told you when you were young. Keep your legs pumping. He doesn't shy away from contact. I love him. I don't have like a comparison for him because he just reminds me of so many running backs. And I remember Emmitt Smith, legs keep on pumping. I'm not trying to call him Emmitt Smith, but I'm just saying it reminds me of that same style of running back where he's just difficult to get down. I like that. I saw somebody say that he's like 5'10". There's no way he's 5'10". Like no way possible he's 5'10". He's probably like he's probably 5'8", maybe 5'9". I don't believe he's 5'10" at all.
But they stretch all these numbers, don't they?
Yeah, it's college lies. They lie all the time. But like short distance, he still has the burst. He can take it. He has the burst. He's not going to run a 70-yarder in the NFL. He could probably do that in college. We've seen him take off. But for him, short distance, goal line, he's a guy that I want getting the ball. If we're in the red zone, find that man, give him the ball, and get some good push because he's going to give you everything you got to score. Yeah, I like Cam. I like Cam a lot.
And Dash, this guy and the next guy we're going to talk about, there's something to say. Not only can you do 4th and 1 with him, you can do 3rd and 2. You know what I'm saying? Like you can do a 2-yard play. Like if you and Giants have to consider this. This happens way more than we think it does. You need to get a 2-point conversion. This is the kind of guy that you're going to want. You want these powerful running backs. 4th and 1, look, the beauty of these types of running backs, I always go back. Super Bowl 42, there was a 4th and 1 on that drive with a Tyree catch. Everyone kind of forgets about it. The reason is because everybody kind of knew that Brandon Jacobs was going to get it. Like, I knew he wasn't going to get stuffed by the defensive tackle. Like, as long as they ran to the outside of the guard and didn't go into Wilfork, he was going to get it, and he did. End of story. Got 3 yards, maybe. Yeah, that was pretty much it. 3 yards, 4 yards, no questions asked. I think this style of play would be the most complimentary to Tracy. Him and the next guy we'll go over too. But Truth, got to hear your words on him too.
All right, I'm gonna give you a mind-blowing comparison, and mind you, I'm older than you guys. He reminds me with his blue collar and his lunchbox mentality. He reminds me of a Pittsburgh Steelers running back, Rocky Bleier. If you remember Rocky Bleier, back in the day, he would compliment Franco Harris. Good solid runner, ran hard between tackles. This guy, I love this guy. I really do. And when the performance against Texas really catapulted him probably a good round or more in the draft. And if he does well in the combine, he could be a surprise pick on the 3rd round. He could be, because look at this kid. He doesn't give up like Dash said. He keeps his legs moving.
You know what? You know what? It just made. I'm watching the clips now. He kind of reminds me of a mixture, and is one of the guys that I hate because of the team he played. It's like a Marion Barber, Mike Allstott had a baby type deal. You know, because Mike Allstott
Mike
was big
Holmstock's
and
a
get the
good
short
one,
yards, but Allstott still. We got some clips of Allstott taking it 40, 50 yards down the field. You know, sneaky fast. But I'm just looking at it now. I'm like, what does he remind me of? And just the contact and not going down. I remember how much of a pain Marion Barber was for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
Another running back again that I would not mind if the Giants called his name on day 3. I would not mind it at all.
And it's funny. I'm always weary of the guys whose name like grew as the season went on. Like it's like, oh, did they have flashy games at the end? Like how? But you know what? Ever since Jaden Daniels last year, I'm never going to say that ever again. I'm never saying that ever again. You know, so lesson learned. All right, next guy. It's very funny. He's got that similar style of play. Kalel Mullings out of Michigan. I really think that he does a great job too. And a little bit more in just purely the style of Brandon Jacobs, where he's running right down their gut and probably not trying as hard to do the ankle breakers at the end and twist out of it. But he really just runs over dudes. You probably saw it right there, but he was a fun player to watch, and I hate Michigan. But, you know, the running game the running game for Michigan has been their bread and butter. They do a very good job of developing these players. The offensive line for Michigan was not nearly as good as it was last year. Yet this guy went out there and was his own offensive line, and he really is a workhorse, man. I mean, he just runs dudes over, and he can get those breakaway runs. He had a really good one against USC where it was 3rd and 1. They just needed 1 yard, and he ran like 50 yards. I don't know if that's going to come up in here, but, you know, Kalel Mullings is the most pure comparison to Brandon Jacobs of probably all the dudes on the list. Scatterbo is obviously the next closest guy, but if you want another bruising back, he's him. 5.1 yards a carry, so it's a little bit less than the 5.8 that Scatterbo did. But, you know, again, he's playing the Big Ten where the defenses aren't as open. And the name of the game of shutting down Michigan this past year was shutting down the run game. So when you get 1,000 yards and the per carry yards that he did in that circumstance, that's pretty phenomenal and did play pretty well against some big opponents. What are your thoughts, Dash?
Yeah, another guy that I love, Mullings. So, just a quick little story. So, not even a story. So, my number one back that I wanted to pair up with Tyrone Tracy ended up going back to school. That was Nick Singleton from Penn State. Number 2 on my list to pair up with Tyrone Tracy was Kalel Mullings. Now he because I've been asking for it. I've been waiting for another thumper. I've been waiting for that Brandon Jacobs type, the guy that's a punisher, that guy that you can, if it's 4th and 1, you're going to give him the ball. Mullings is that. And we all saw it, even Brandon Jacobs. If he got loose, he can run it down the field. You have to chase him down for sure. And Mullings can do that too. So, yeah, definitely love him. Again, second on my list of guys. I'm kind of mad that Nick Singleton went back. I understand why. He could possibly be one of the top running backs next year. But, yeah, Kalel Mullings, top of my list as a guy that I want to pair with Tyrone Tracy for sure.
God, I would love to have them both in the backfield at the same time just to watch it because the defenses would be so like it's a completely different scheme to have to tackle one of those guys.
What was that? 2022 when we had 3 running backs on some on certain downs that we ran.
I don't know if it was 2022. Are you thinking about Ward, Brandon?
No. I'm talking about when Dable was there. He would have it was Barkley, the guy Brightwell, and the guy we picked up from San Francisco, and then he played a little bit.
Breda, Matt Breda.
Breda, yeah. When they did the 3, the 3 running back, they didn't do it often in 2022, but they did it a couple of times where they had 3 running backs. But yeah. Truth,
what are your thoughts on him?
Listen, I'm a broken record here. I love this kid, big, strong guy, and look how I'm watching him, and look how quick his feet move. Changes direction. You forget that he's 230 plus pounds. When he runs the football, he has such great footwork. So I'm with Dash. I mean, I would love. It wouldn't bother me if I see his name called. I mean, really, Giants have a lot of options here. That's why I think they're going to go free agency for running back. They're going to go through the draft to get that running back.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I can't, and this is the thing. Like the way our competition is outlined right now in the NFC East. I used to like those really tough as nails, like just bulldozing players like Brandon Jacobs and Jeremy Shockey and the Giants. So when they would go against like the elite players, let's say the Eagles, like Brian Dawkins, or any of these great cornerbacks, they would kind of embarrass them a little bit because they would just rock their you know what. And so I that's what I feel when I watch this dude play. Like I want him to go to the Eagles cornerbacks and just run them over, man. Like give them a little bit of a bruiser and stop us from getting embarrassed all the time. But yeah, like him a lot. Again, the shiftiness, it's not incredible, but he still has, like you said, Dash, you pointed out, he's got breakaway speed. He does.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Again, a nice mixture of power and speed. And again, there's a lot of guys with that, and in this class, but he stands out and he pops off the screen for sure.
100%. Next guy, I am in deep love with, Brashard Smith out of Southern Methodist University. So, what I like about this dude is his spin move is phenomenal. The acceleration, pretty much the entire way through, is great. But guys, let me tell you, like when he gets to the secondary, he is not getting caught from behind. He's not getting touched. Like if you see him, and if you're a safety and you see him and he's 5 yards ahead, it's too late. You're not going to touch him. He is really good. He doesn't hesitate. He does hesitate a little bit behind the line of scrimmage, but he's doing really calculated guesses, or not guesses, but calculated decision making as to where that hole is and where he needs to go in order to make the play happen. He's also phenomenal in the pass game, just a super explosive all-around player. And I mean, it's almost like he's not even just trying to avoid tackles; he's trying to avoid getting touched. I mean, he's able to manipulate every part of his body in order to shift out of the way of these defenders. So if you get a chance to watch him, I really think you should. Again, breakaway speed's great. The dynamic ability to use him in the pass game and the run game is phenomenal. 5.7 yards per carry. That is absolutely terrific. 4.4, 140. And overall, I mean, he was a terrific guy that helped SMU get to the college football playoffs. Another dude that elevated the entire offense. Dash, what are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about bruising backs, with Scatterbo and Mullen.
Yeah.
He's not that. He's not that. He's not that at all. And you're absolutely right. He's the kind of kid that was in Pop Warner that did all of the moves before he broke the long touchdown.
Yeah.
And I think he kind of went with him in the college. I like him a lot. I don't necessarily like him as a pair with Tyrone Tracy because I think they do kind of the same things. They have that same versatility. He is faster than Tyrone Tracy to me though. But one of those to the house type players. But again, he's the type, and you hit it right on the head. He's making the moves before the guys can get to him, and you can see it right here. He's all the spin moves and stuff like that. But yeah, no, I like him, but not one of the top pairings for me. But an explosive type of running back.
Yeah, I get it. Truth, what are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, he's a slasher, ankle breaker. When he runs, you can see him, and he's not very big. I think he's under 200 pounds. So agree again with Dash. He probably would be a good complement with Tracy, but he's an electrifying running back. If he can find a team that has bigger guys where he can kind of be like a gadget player as a rookie, come out just his first year, boy, that would be something.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of use for him in the NFL, and we're starting to get to the point where you guys could be clear-cut starters from day one. I mean, I really love what he can do past the initial level, and like the amount of the heart this guy has. I mean, he's a smaller dude, but he doesn't play like he's not afraid to play like he's a bigger dude. You know what I'm saying? When he gets these cornerbacks and run through, he's not gonna do it as good as Mullings does. He doesn't have that ability, but just right there. Oh, my ankles hurt just watching this.
I know.
He's not scared of the contact, but you can tell that that's not his first option. He's going to try to get before anything. But if push comes to shove and he has to drop a shoulder, like we seen him in the red zone, he'll do it. He'll do it.
And then so the next guy, there were some similarities between Brashard Smith and Devin Neal as I was going over. So this guy hits the hole really fast, and he finds lanes both on the line of scrimmage and when he gets to secondary. So even though it's not natural, just pure acceleration, his vision when he's running the ball is absolutely excellent. I just lost it. When he gets to the linebacker level, he's just too fast for them to handle, and he's going to break a lot of their ankles. And he's also really effective on sweeps and in the pass game. He can really open up the offense with his ability to run all over the field. Blocking is one of the critiques of him. I mean, it's not the end of the world. I would like them to give a shoulder if they can. Bradshaw was a phenomenal blocker. I loved watching him block. He was absolutely terrific. I'm sure he'll give that effort when he gets to this level, but otherwise, let's focus on what matters for him. His run ability, absolutely terrific. What are your thoughts, Dash?
I'm surprised it took so long for Devin Neal to get popular. You know what I mean? Because a lot if you watch college football, you know about him, but he wasn't really one of those household names, really. And he's been steady his whole career at Kansas. And for me, it kind of surprised me because I wasn't even that big on him. And then I watched him this year closely because I didn't watch a lot of Kansas. I don't watch a lot of I didn't watch a lot of Kansas ball.
Kansas doesn't get on TVs too often.
Yeah, no, and the funny thing is, yeah. And then the funny thing is the biggest game that not the biggest game, but the most viewed game that they had was against Colorado, and he just absolutely went off against Colorado. But yeah, I like him a lot. He's actually one of those guys, not necessarily a compliment to Tracy. I'm almost scared if we picked him up, he might actually be a starter over Tracy, just with his running style, man. And I wouldn't be surprised if something like that happened. So I like Devin Neal a lot. I'm not thinking of him as a comparison, not as a compliment to Tracy, but just he's going to be a starter soon in the league. Yeah,
he is good. He is good. What are your thoughts, Truth?
Yeah, I don't think we have to worry about the Giants selecting him because I think he'll go earlier than where Shane might want to select a running back. Because, like you just said, you guys, this kid has a world of talent. He really does. He can run inside between the tackles. He can take it outside. He changed direction on a dime. Just watch these videos of him. He keeps his legs moving, and that's what you love to see with running backs. And I don't really know much, and maybe Dash, how's his ball security? Do you know how he is with that?
I didn't check for ball security. I haven't heard any any of the write-ups that I looked up. I haven't seen fumbling as an issue. I think he's pretty secure with the ball. Again, he's been the starter for a long time. I think he was a senior this year for sure. I don't know if he was a fifth-year senior or not, but he's been their bell cow since he's been there. And and one of the best teammates too is what I heard. Loved in the locker room, a leader, and everything like that. So that falls right into that tough, smart, tough, dependable. But he's also a great player.
Yeah, and look, the leadership thing is important. You love to hear that about a player. I mean, you realize when Saquon was cut. I mean, talent aside, I mean the locker room was devastated from the leadership standpoint, right? So can't get enough of that. I mean, dude that stayed at Kansas throughout all that time, despite their program, he probably could have transferred wherever he wanted, but that does speak volumes. I do respect that a lot.
Yeah, he did. He did get a couple offers for the transfer portal. He decided to stay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
I didn't know that.
What's that, Truth?
I didn't know that. That's good. I didn't know that information. That he stayed.
It's funny. Here's a guy too. So the next guy we're going to talk about, I actually want to talk about the transfer portal a little bit because I was a little surprised that he didn't enter the transfer portal, knowing that Judkins was also going to be there and split time with him. I think this is the downfall of being an Ohio State running back. It's a pass-first team. They have 3 wide receivers that will end up getting drafted at some point, right? Every year they're going to have one guy that gets drafted. They have just a very effective pass, open the field kind of game. And TreVeyon Henderson actually had to split time with another running back who's a complete stud. But I will say this, I love TreVeyon Henderson. I think he is absolutely outstanding. Breece Hall is his best comparison, right? But his speed, he's got a 3.9 40. He's extremely hard to tackle. He hits the holes really hard. He finds lanes very fast upon initial contact and in the second level. And he keeps his feet moving, just like we're talking about with a lot of the dudes tonight. He's willing to get really chippy with the blocking. He's willing to hit. And he's very, very good in the screen game. My initial concern is that the defense, was so spread out in playing against him. And that's what kind of enabled him to get a lot of these breaks. But that's not the case. I mean, he's going up against some of these more loaded defenses with a tighter front. But despite splitting with Judkins, guys, he has the highest average yards per game. It's 7.3. And he's at Ohio State. Don't get me wrong. But he is playing against some pretty tough opponents and a slower style of play generally. So I think he's my sleeper right now. I would have been very curious to see what would have been like if he went to a program, even say pick a random school. Like if he went to Oklahoma, right, and he was their running back, I would have been very curious to see how he would have ended up playing. But I think he's a very talented running back. What are your thoughts, Dash?
Yeah, when I look at Trevion Henderson, I get a little bit sad because there's no chance he's going to be a New York Giant. Like he's a day two guy for sure. Top talent, home run hitter. He'll end up somewhere like Kansas City or something like that. Somewhere where they're picking at the end or mid second round, or maybe even possibly if they really fall in love with him, because he's a specialist like that. Even somebody with the last pick of the first round. I think his talent is that good, and I think he fits. If there's a team that's already like established, they have good wide receivers that can take some attention away from the running game. He's one of those running backs that you throw right in there. I think I like his talent that much, really.
Yeah. Here he goes off against us at Michigan State. That's not good.
When Jenkins was going to come transfer to Ohio State, this was I heard on the national championship game. Coach Day went to Henderson to talk to him and see how he felt about it. And the kid, to his credit, he said, "Yeah, bring him on." A team player. You like to see that. And he knew that he would lose some playing time if Jenkins came in, but his main goal was to win, and that's something that you want to see in a player. Not being selfish.
And I think nowadays too, running backs know it's about being fresh too. If you can get a good rotation in, as long as you don't take them out of the game when they're in the zone, it's fine. If you got the hot hand, you leave that guy in there. But these guys are not trying to run the ball 25, 30 times a game just themselves. They like to be able to split up. They know their careers can last a little bit longer if they do something like that. So I think they all know that now, these running backs.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's interesting here. Now, there's actually a couple scenarios here where we have pretty standard draft picks right now. There's a couple situations, though. If Kafka and Brandon Brown get hired, right? And I think Brandon Brown might have a shot with the Jaguars because of their situation right now. That might be a role that he would be inclined to get hired in just because it's a little bit of a scramble down there. And so even though they're going to be like, the Giants were 3-14, everybody can kind of look past and kind of know that Brandon Brown knew what he was doing, right? But just keep this in mind. He gets hired. We get a third-round pick for that. If Kafka gets hired by the Saints, which might happen because the Jets took Glenn, the Giants actually got a third-round selection for that. So I think a lot of these guys actually open up in that situation. So I'm kind of curious to see how this one unravels, just because that does mean that we might have shot. We are getting to that list, and Dash, you brought up a good point. Like, we're getting to that point where they won't be here even past the second round. But, it does open up a little bit more for the guys that are projected to go maybe late 2 or 3, right? Because they could fall.
Yeah. Will it be this year's third round pick they get, or next year's? Do you know? They get 2 third round picks, right? If minority, okay.
Yeah,
so
this year
and next year. Okay.
Yep. So,
listen. If you're a GM and you have these picks, it gives you the option of trading back up if someone is sliding like this kid sliding, then you trade up in the back of the round and go get him. Nothing wrong with that.
100%.
Yeah, talented kids.
All right, next guy on the list is Jordan James out of Oregon. We're talking about a guy who's playing from a very explosive offense. He keeps plays alive continuously. If you watch him play, his ability to stretch out the amount of time the play is going on, because his ability to maneuver, stay on his feet, all of that, he does a really terrific job of it. He's also probably the most effective one in the pass game, just because the way that Oregon used him in the offense. Only couple knocks I have on him is that he loses balance a little too easily. But yeah, I mean, ultimately he had a really meaningful impact on Oregon's high-power offense, which is mostly pass-oriented. But again, their offense always relies on a dynamic offensive running back, and he does a phenomenal job at that. Dash, what are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I like Jordan James. Again, they said this is the top of the list where guys are going to go pretty early. I don't have him as high as I don't have him above Trevion Henderson, but I do like Jordan James a lot. He's another one of those guys that's big play, has that versatility too. I don't have a comp for him because I haven't watched more for Oregon, I probably watched maybe 3 Oregon games. I know I'm on the West Coast. I know we get those later games too. But Oregon was a team that I wasn't really focusing on too much. But when I did watch Oregon, he definitely flashed, and he was an important part of that offense that was high powered.
Yeah, real quick before we get into your thoughts, Truth, you're bringing up a good point here because we're kind of going in the order of projections, but I'm with you where I kind of suspected, like, I like some of the guys that we talked about earlier more than Jordan James. Like, I liked Evan Neal and Smith more than James, for example, yet James is coming up a little bit more frequently for those higher picks.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. I see the mocks too. I see the rankings too. Yeah.
Truth, what are your thoughts, man?
Oh, this kid has a quick first step, very elusive, as we can see here. He's got pretty good size. I think he's like 5'10", 215, something in that range. And he usually, if you watch some of this tape, he first defender kind of misses. So, which gives him that elusiveness when he runs. Good balance. I like the stiff arm there. That's a dying art, by the way, the stiff arm, right?
There's no hesitation, no wasted movements for him.
No, good
at all. No, he finds a hole and he's there. He doesn't waste any time. No tap dancing in the backfield. That's what I like about him too.
Yeah. I like it. You don't hear because Oregon likes to throw the ball around, but this kid was a good part of that team. They're a very key player for them.
So on to the next guy then. What about Dylan Sampson out of Tennessee? I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts because, again, another guy that's projected to go pretty high, and I love a lot of the abilities that he has more than Jordan James. He's very shifty. He's very hard to tackle, and he's gone in the second level. And then screen passes, very effective there. And he does a great job. This is kind of like weird. Does a really good job when he gets into pileups. He somehow finds a way out of it, and it's really hard to explain how he did it. I'm hoping one of those videos comes out, but he's really good when it comes to getting out of those things. Dash, what are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I like Dylan Sampson. Good production, a lot of touchdowns from him. I believe he had 20-something touchdowns this year, if I'm not mistaken. Him,
22.
Somebody else.
22, yeah.
Okay, yeah, 20-something touchdowns. Yeah, so for me, he reminded it was a guy, Jalen Wright, that came out of Tennessee last year. Didn't get a lot of burn, once he made. I think it was the Buccaneers that he went to, if I'm not mistaken. But kind of reminds me of that same type of, not necessarily like I'm thinking of Tennessee running backs. I'm thinking like Alvin Kamara, not really an Alvin Kamara type, but a guy that's dependable, guy with some good speed, some good vision. And then, at the end of the day, a nose for the touchdown. 22 touchdowns on the season. That's pretty good.
Yeah, a little bit on the smaller side, like Smith, but an electrifying running back, which is why he'll probably go in the early second day.
Yeah. No, yeah, I definitely think he's a second rounder for sure.
Yeah.
Late second round. Yep.
Yeah, he's just very he's just so good at those quick things, man. He's a really talented running back. But there was an example of that play I was just talking about. Like he was in a pile up. Somehow he got out of it, and I can't explain how he just did that. That's a really unique skill. All right, on to the next guy. This is interesting because with Caleb Johnson, I actually saw him play. It was very weird, but I did not realize I went to Michigan State, Iowa. It was Michigan State's best game of the year. They kind of surprised everybody and took care of business somehow. But the running back, hear me out because it's not where I'm going to go, right? Caleb Johnson did not look that good that game, except for when he had an 86-yard breakaway run to the house. And I turned around like, holy crap, who's that? And then my buddy's like, oh, no, he's one of the top running backs. So Michigan State took care of business against the offensive line that night. And that's kind of what happened there. Let me tell you about this guy, though, because his game tape is incredibly impressive. Yeah. When it comes to acceleration from start to finish, he is going lightning fast from the time he gets that ball in his hands until the time that he gets in that end zone. And that's what he does so much better than anybody else. When he shifts, when he does, the juke moves, everything like that, usually there's some hesitancy speed when a player does that, right? And so you lose time a little bit when you do a spin move or whatever. He doesn't lose any time when he does those things. It is really incredible watching this guy play. Only concern, is that it seemed like when I was offensive line, who's very good, had off days, he wasn't fighting for himself as effective as some of these other running backs might have been. Again, you do need a good O-line to produce, but just watching him play when he's go out there with at least average blocking, guy's phenomenal. Want to hear your thoughts, Dash?
No, I love Caleb Johnson. One of my notes, or a few of my notes for him, he's a workhorse type of back. And then the 3 words that I put down were balance, vision, and burst is what I have for Caleb Johnson, and we can see it on the highlights here. Another home run hitter, no wasted movements. Like you said, he doesn't lose any speed when he makes those cuts and everything. That's why look how he just eats up, the angle. Like it's he's almost like a Madden player to me. It doesn't seem real, some of those plays, like how he's able to outrun people. I don't know what his 40 times or what he's going to clock for 40 time. I'm assuming he's a 4.4 guy.
4.5 is what he's clocking at. But again, like
no way he's 4.5. Like
I gotta say his acceleration is it's too fast.
Some people just have some people when you're on the field and somebody's behind you, you run faster. He's probably one of those guys. I'm surprised at the 4.5 because I would guess him being even faster than the 4.4 guy possibly. But also you don't realize how big he is. He's not a small guy either. 6 foot, 220 pounds, and he can run like that. So he's going off the board pretty early too. Of course, one of the teams that made it to the playoffs and had an early exit is probably going to end up getting him. I like Caleb Johnson a lot. Player that somebody's going to be very, very happy to get.
Yeah, no doubt. Any comment, Truth?
I hope Dallas doesn't get him. I hope Dallas doesn't get
him. We're going to get the other guy we're going to be talking about pretty soon.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's what I think.
But Dallas does it.
But real quick on Johnson, on this kid, everything you guys are saying, got a quick quick first step, gets to the hole quick, and he gets to second level. I'm watching, no one catches him from behind. So that's why I question his speed, what they're reporting, again, Big Dash mentioned his size. I'm watching getting.
Truth, the Wi-Fi can't die on you now.
I'm back. Did you hear what I said?
We missed what you said.
Oh, I don't know what's going on. I don't know.
It's a little bit better now.
Anyway, this kid, he plays quick and for his size. He's big, but he plays like a small running back.
Yeah. No, I agree. Love him. Very curious to see where this guy ends up. Next guy, Amarian Hampton. He's projected to probably go in the late first. That's likely what's going to happen with this dude. Really bounced all around with like this guy's abilities. Shifty running back, fights for extra yard. Is brilliant with executing in tight lanes. Like that's what you see out there when he's analyzing the field. He's really good at that. Good spin moves. He stays on his feet through the tackles. Speed. He has a 4.46. When I watch him play, it doesn't seem to be as fast as Caleb Johnson. But he's also pretty decent in the pass game. So he's a really good all-around running back. 6 foot, 220. Had 1,660 yards for North Carolina last year. I think that's really impressive. And 5.9 yards per carry. So I like this dude a lot. What are your thoughts, Dash?
Yeah, he's another throwback guy for me. When you look at his build, well, you can't help but notice his thighs. Like his legs are huge. His legs are huge, and he's one of those guys where, the tough yards, the breakaway speed still. One guy, a comp that I had for him going back a couple of years was Jamal Lewis. I like the Jamal Lewis type of style where Jamal Lewis was a bigger guy, big legs too, power back, but also could run away from you, a little bit shifty, surprising you sometimes. So he's like a Jamal Lewis type. And like I said, when I first watched, I'm like, that's Jamal Lewis to me, like Jamal Lewis. So I like him a lot. He's another guy. I hope that doesn't end up in the NFC East because Giants won't have a chance.
We're struggling as it is out here in the NFC East.
Yeah, especially if we don't address the trenches. I don't want to see Amarian Hampton get picked up by the Redskins. The Commanders or the Cowboys or something like that.
I'm at the point now where it's like just draft Carter and then trade up and draft Mason Graham. Let's just build the nastiest front seven in NFL history so that we can crush the quarterbacks.
Well, the Giants better take the defensive line seriously, their defensive line, and get better against the run.
Dex needs it, man. I mean, we got to imagine how good he would be if he had a serious DN next to him, or D-tackle. I have 3-4 D-tackle.
And to that same point, imagine how good our linebackers would be too if we had a solid defensive line in front of them too. So that's a different episode. That's a different
episode. Yeah. We can talk any Giants all day, all night, man.
So this kid it reminds me a lot of Johnson. A lot of similarities, hard runner, bigger than he looks, similar size, can take it inside, take it outside. And you watch him run, and he has a little breakaway speed and gets to the second level. Again, he's going to be a early second day pick.
Well, we have saved the best for last.
Could be the first round, yeah.
This is
your worst nightmare, Big Dash. Here's your worst nightmare.
This is my worst nightmare because I just feel like Dallas is taking him. Dash.
Yeah.
Watching him play is unbelievable. Oh, and hold up again. Stats aren't everything, but
in this case,
2,600 yards, which is way more than anybody else on this list. Nobody else broke 2,000, and this is rushing yards. 2,600, 29 touchdowns, 7 yards per carry. Great. He had a lot of carries. That was a little concerning.
Look at that run.
He drove Boise State single-handedly to the college football playoffs and got a freaking first-round bye doing so. He can do it all. His comparison is Marshawn Lynch. He just clearly has that it factor for being hard to tackle. He's just too fast for a lot of a linebacker or defensive lineman to catch him, and he accelerates just so much better than anybody else. And puts the just watching him is just a lot of fun. He is going to be an unbelievable running back in the NFL. And look, if the Giants were already a well-established team, that's when you pick him. That's when you get this guy. We are not even close. Some of our division rivals are. Dash, what are your thoughts on this guy, Genty?
He's an absolute monster. Like he's a monster. He'll keep you up, and he'll keep the defensive coordinator up at night. And it's crazy. Like a few people, like you say, some people you don't plan on stopping them. You just hope that you can contain them. Like what? Let's try to keep him under 100 yards, or let's try to keep him right at 100 yards because he's going to get his. He's that type of player. When I watch him, I go to I like to compare ceilings. I think of Ricky Williams at Texas, that type of monster. And if we were still in the 90s and even the early 2000s, he's probably the number one player taken in the draft over the quarterbacks and everything. But we're in a different age. Love him. Mm-hmm. Hard to get him down. If you tackle him, you better wrap up and then hold on because you're not just going to pop him and take him down. But no, absolutely love Genty. I'm hoping and I'm praying that the Dallas Cowboys say, you know what, I'd rather get an offensive lineman or something like that.
I'm hoping, right? Get a guard. Please get a guard. I don't want to think about this.
Or maybe he goes before Dallas pick. A little before.
Yeah, I would love that. I would absolutely love that.
Go to the Raiders and we just never have to see him ever again.
Even better. Even better. But yeah, I don't want any parts of Ashton Genty. Because I know right now the way the Giants are built right now, we wouldn't be able to stop him as a rookie at all. So yeah. No,
say, man. It's so
he's as advertised. What was it? 29 touchdowns, like you said, 2,600
yards rushing.
And
they only played 12 freaking games, guys.
If Travis Hunter didn't exist, he would have been the Heisman for sure. But Ashton Genty, absolute monster.
Michael.
Yeah. And great
any further criticism of Genty there, Truth?
Say it again.
Nothing. No, go ahead. I was trying to be funny. It didn't work.
No, I was saying, Dash, great comparison. Bring up Ricky
Williams.
Ricky Williams back in the era. Yeah. The kid is, every game he had target on his back. The defenses were keying on him and only him really. And he still shined. I mean, not only did he shine, he just exploded. His stats, I know we don't like to look at stats, but, when you get 29 touchdowns in 12 games, when everybody's watching you and keying on you, that's pretty special player right there. pretty special.
That's a good point, because everybody will always say, well, he's playing the Mountain West. It's like, okay, yeah, but he's also got Mountain West offensive line. He's got Mountain West, like a whole lot of things there. So, I mean, if Josh Allen can come out from Wyoming and ball out, I am not worried about how he's going to translate to the NFL. That is not even my slightest concern with the way this guy plays. He also had the whole team focused on him. You're right, Truth. The name of the game for beating Boise State this year was stop him, and nobody could.
Hey, you know what? Just be happy Dave Gettleman's not the GM, because he would probably draft him.
We would probably get him. We would probably get him and ruin his career.
Yeah, he sees another Barkley, this kid. He looks at him.
We'd be trading him to Washington for pennies in a few years, and then they win the Super Bowl.
No, he's special, man. He's a special player. Yeah, we won't see another running back like that have a season in college like that in a while, probably.
Yes, and now all I can hope for is that our rivals don't get him, because it could happen. Like if the Eagles trade up and get him, like I probably won't watch football next year.
I wasn't even thinking anything like that.
Why would the Eagles? They got Barkley.
Because Howie Roseman is a devil. That's why.
I mean, there are times where I'm like, there's no way that would happen, and then it somehow does. Like, the Eagles, Howie Roseman does devil magic to make these ridiculous trades with teams that are just poorly run and takes them to the cleaners. Works like clockwork. So you're right, he doesn't go there. Maybe, you know what? I don't want Washington trading up for him. We'll talk about all these nightmares, but geez, they got $100 million in cap space, and if they had him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing.
So look,
can
guys.
Imagine him and Daniels in the backfield. Wow.
Oh yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh,
I don't want to do that. I don't.
Yeah, this isn't fun. These are like nightmares. So, look, guys, there's a lot of good running backs. I could definitely see the Giants taking one. Let me ask you, Dash, I want your top three. Who are your top three running backs?
Top three, Ashton Genty, of course, Caleb Johnson, and then and it's funny too. It's probably Devin Neal. It's probably as far as what I like. But Caleb Johnson, Ashton Genty. No, I'm not going to be able to get those guys on the Giants. But then I want to throw in somebody that can absolutely make it to the Giants, and that's Devin Neal. Yep.
Amen. Truth. What about you, man? What are your thoughts? I mean, you can give me top two. You can give top three, whatever. Top three players.
Yeah.
Top three dudes you think.
I'll take a different approach. I'll take the top three I want the Giants to get. I'll just take a different approach. I love the kid out of Michigan, Mons. I love that kid. I like Devin Neal, but I don't think he'll be there. But I like Devin Neal, and I'm on that Scatterbo. I'm on his what's that? The
Scatterbo train.
The train. Yeah.
Yeah. The Gabble. I'm on that ship with him. I think that kid is just a winner. I like the way he plays.
Yeah. I'll go with because look, Genty's getting my top. He's elite. I love watching him.
Yeah.
Beyond that, though, my favorite's Caleb Johnson, Devin Neal, Rashard Smith, and Travion Henderson. But I'm going to give the honorable mention to Cam Scatterbo and Chloe Mullings, because I would love to see those two on the Giants as they complement Tracy. But again, could go either way. I just hope that if they could walk away with one of those guys in the mid-round, I mean, I'm really excited to watch the running game next year. Yeah. Dash, we got a real important question to you. This doesn't have to be running back related.
Okay.
What do you want the Giants to do with the number 3 pick in the 2025 NFL draft?
Man, I want a quarterback. I mean, that's the first thing. I want a quarterback. If we cannot get the quarterback, I want to solidify the run defense, the trenches. Go ahead and give me Mason Graham if I can't get the quarterback. I need something solidified if I can't.
And you're not trading back for that, right? You're going to stay at 3 and take him at 3,
I'll stay at 3 and take Mason Graham 100%. I don't think you can go like Mason Graham. The furthest I see him dropping is maybe 6.
6.
And because he's probably going to go. Yeah.
I think top 6 in the mix, it's going to be the same 6 that we see. I mean, like outside of Ward and Sanders, I think the 4 guys that go, it's Will Johnson, Mason Graham, Abdul Carter, and
Hunter.
Hunter. Yep. I think that's going to be the 6 in some order. Which quarterback do you like best?
Oh, I'm a Shedeur Sanders fan. I like Shedeur Sanders. I like Shedeur Sanders because of his pre-snap, post-snap ability to get the ball out when the pocket is clean. But I will say this though. Every time I say that about Shedeur Sanders, I look at Cam Ward and the it factor on Cam Ward playing in the NFC East, big plays, breaking. I can see it. I can see it. So when I say I'm 1A, 1B, when it comes to those two, I'm really 1A, 1B, and will be just as happy with either one of those guys at quarterback.
Yeah. And it's funny. Cam Ward also has a demeanor that reminds me of Eli a little bit, right? And so that's the only thing. I love both of them. I can go either way, but that's the one thing where I'm kind of like, yeah, you know what? It's almost the right personality for New York.
Oh, Cam Ward, right? Cam Ward?
Yeah. It's like, because you can be like the Michael Strahan type, where you're that big personality, big ball player, and then, you retire and you're hosting every segment of everything and your name's all over the place. Or, maybe for a quarterback, it's almost better to have that kind of Cam Ward demeanor where, you don't really seem too fazed by what's going on around you. I don't know.
And I'll give you another one too. If we don't land one of those quarterbacks, a guy that I like in the later rounds, surprisingly, is Kyle McCord. I like McCord.
Okay.
I like McCord a lot. I like him more than Riley Leonard. I like him more than Will Howard. I like him a little bit more than Jackson Dart too. Because that offense at Ole Miss.
Big Dash.
Would you say it again?
Where do you see him going? Now, round 4? What was he, Kyle?
McCord, I can see McCord as a 4th rounder. He's definitely a 4th rounder. A lot of these quarterbacks probably go early day 3. So, even a guy like Jackson Dart with all the hype he's getting right now, unless he just blows it out the water, combine, pro days and stuff like that, I can see him probably squeezing into like the 2nd round possibly. But I think all these guys are possibly, day 3 guys, early, 3rd, 4th. 4th round.
Yeah.
4th round guys, yeah, for sure.
Big Dash, one last question, man. Where can people find you? You got your podcast. You do a lot of things, and I love the work that you do on Giants Twitter and content creation. I know you're pretty big on Instagram. How can the people find you out here?
I appreciate it. It's just Big Dash Knows on all social media platforms. Yep. So just type that in, and you'll find me. I'll pull up.
Awesome. Big Dash, I can't thank you enough. Truth, again, thank you so much. Real quick, Dash, for FYI, Truth is so good at evaluating prospects because they all end up going to the Baltimore Ravens. And that's what I joke. It's like, hey, that guy that Truth was high on went to the Ravens. What the hell? I'm also going to give him credit for this. He called Bo Nix last year, and we would even be on the program. I'm like, Truth. We're going to get a lot of heat for this. You can't be that high on him. And God damn it, you were right, Truth. So, just want to call it that funny story. But again, man, loved having you on, dude. We'd love to have you back in the future as well, and even on our main segment with New York Giants Rush.
No, absolutely. And I apologize to Bo Nix because I was one of those guys that slept on Bo Nix. I think the situation, like my main thing with Bo Nix, I was like, you know what? He's been in college for so long. He better be good. You know what I mean? He better. Yeah. So all that experience, I did not expect him to be like this But again, Sean Payton found a quarterback that he actually liked, built the scheme around him, and you see the kid was successful. So, no, absolutely apologize to Bo Nix. I was like, no Nix to Bo Nix.
And I was just being soft. I was like, I would watch the highlight tape and be like, I actually kind of like what I'm seeing right now, but
I can't say it. I
can't say everybody. I mean, I can't be wrong about this. I'm not. It's not worth the unpopular opinion, so I'm just gonna roll with everybody else. But I'm not doing that anymore. If I love a dude that's a little low on the totem pole, I'm gunning for them. So,
hey, and you know what I always say? What's the worst you can be? Wrong.
Worst I can be is wrong. Worst thing you can do is just read through a lot of mean tweets.
Exactly.
You have to get him out of the way. It's like I'm not responding, but come on, man, don't attack me. Yeah. But no, Dash, thank you so much, dude. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Take care, guys.
All right.
Peace, everybody.